I don't think it's much of a secret anymore that the Warriors are going to try to trade Jonathan Kuminga once his trade restriction is lifted on January 15th. And based on some actions from the Warriors head coach, it seems like the writing is even more on the wall at this point, and a trade is going to come as soon as humanly possible, as Steve Kerr benched Jonathan Kuminga, took him out of the rotation against the Chicago Bulls. You're watching Warriors Today by Chat Sports, and I am your host, Tyler Smith. This move signals to me that Steve Kerr is just done with Jonathan Kuminga. Yeah, he's sending him a signal a little bit. Yes, he's going to have to get him back in the lineup to prop his trade value up a little bit, but this is a clear message that the Warriors and their long-term plans as far as this season goes do not include Jonathan Kuminga. Now, before we delve into the latest rumors and the behind-the-scenes details as to why he got benched, because Steve Kerr did mention why, I got to tell you guys, subscribe to the channel, man. The most subs that we have gained on a video this whole season, 94. I'm asking you guys on today's video, if you're new here, can we beat that number? Can we get 100 members of Zub Nation to go down below and hit that subscribe button? Because when you do, you get free Warriors content all season long, whether it's a video like this or we're live for a Warriors game. All right, Steve Kerr gave us this info on the benching of Jonathan Kuminga, saying just because of the way our team looks right now, and Jimmy came back tonight, JK started last night, they play the same position. I like the group the last couple of nights, the bench group, Gee, Pat Spencer, DeAnthony Melton in Philly. We got a lot of bodies. And so with Jimmy Butler coming back tonight, it made sense to play the other guys because they complement him really well. The Warriors ended up winning that game by 30. Jonathan Kuminga couldn't even get minutes when the Warriors were blowing the Bulls out. Steve Kerr was clearly just looking for an excuse to not play Jonathan Kuminga, and he got one in Jimmy Butler returning back to the lineup. It doesn't help either when Kuminga is abysmal from the field. Since he returned from injury, the knee tendonitis that he suffered and it kept him out for a couple of weeks there, he's been 8 of 32 from the field over the last 3 games. He was 1 for 10 in that Cavs game. So, yeah, naturally, if a guy doesn't fit next to the surrounding pieces that you have and he's not producing on his own, then there's no reason for him to be in the lineup, especially when he's as disengaged and just overall lackluster in effort as he is really on both sides of the floor. Now, Steve Kerr said all that stuff about benching Jonathan Kuminga, the reasons behind it, but he was asked about Kuminga's response to what Kerr told him as far as being out of the rotation. He did say he wanted to keep that talk with Jonathan Kuminga private. Now, Jonathan Kuminga was asked about the situation and specifically his relationship with Steve Kerr, and here's what he had to say about it all. He said, "We have a good relationship. We get to talk and figure out things. We don't have any problem. I don't have any problem. It just didn't go my way today. So I'm going to stay happy. I'm going to stay lucky. I'm going to stay focused into the next one." Okay. Since this type of thing has happened before, it's not the first time that Jonathan Kuminga has been benched or DNP'd or has seen his role drastically reduced in Steve Kerr's rotation here. So it seems to me with that answer, because, look, if I was Jonathan Kuminga, I wouldn't like Steve Kerr either. Feels like he's kind of been PR trained to not say anything that incriminates him or makes him look like the bad guy in the situation because, of course, Jonathan Kuminga's agency, his representation, the people who are advising him want him to look like the good guy, like the victim in this situation. So very PR-y answer there from Jonathan Kuminga, but I think he knows, we know, it's coming to an end very, very soon. Jonathan Kuminga is well aware that his Warriors career, his NBA career will not be in the Bay Area for much longer. So he's given that kind of PR answer to just make sure that he's not looking too bad to the prospective teams that might want to trade for him at some point this season. Now, speaking of that trade, Anthony Slater of ESPN and Shams Charania also co-signed this in an article that came out earlier today, that the chance of a Jonathan Kuminga trade remains very strong. Now, who is going to come back in that Kuminga trade? Well, we have a little bit of insight as to who it could be. We'll talk about that in just a moment, but I'll ask you guys first. What's the best move for the Golden State Warriors? Because I know there are a ton of Jonathan Kuminga fans in my comment section daily. I see them. Trust me, guys. What's the best move for the Golden State Warriors? Type T to trade JK or type K to keep him? Let me know what your thoughts are down in the comments. Alrighty. Look who's back. Back again. Sacramento at the bottom of the standings. And they are back in trade interest with Jonathan Kuminga. Marc J. Spears of ESPN said, quote, "I know the Sacramento Kings are still interested in a Jonathan Kuminga trade. However, there is a little bit of a caveat with their trade interest. We'll talk about that around the corner. First, though, I got to tell you guys about our sponsor. A quick word from Prize Picks. This episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. It's the holiday season, and we're making tons of decisions on what gifts to buy, what games to watch, where to eat. It's crazy this time of year. But there's one place where making decisions and being right in those decisions can get you paid, and that is Prize Picks, the best daily fantasy sports app in the game. It's bowl season, basketball matchups, the playoff pushes. It's all happening at once. So get started today with $50 in your account by using promo code CLNS when you download the Prize Picks app today and place your first $5 lineup. How do you place a lineup? It's so simple. All you guys got to do is pick 2 to 6 players and just pick more or less on their projected stats. You can win up to 2,000 times your money with one lineup on Prize Picks. As for the football slate this weekend, I have Caleb Williams more than half a passing touchdown. That is a goblin pick, which lessens my payout, but it's more likely to hit. DJ Moore, more than 33 and a half receiving yards. And then Shador Sanders, it's perfect timing to have more than 30 and a half pass attempts. You can actually copy my picks right here and put them into your own lineup using the brand new feed tab on Prize Picks. Another feature that they offer, early payouts. So if you're confident in your lineup but not confident enough to see it all the way through, Prize Picks might just offer you an out. You can swipe across for an early payout. Download the app today and use the code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS for $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. All right, so the Kings have trade interest in Jonathan Kuminga. They had trade interest back in the offseason. We know the framework of, it was Dario Saric and Devin Carter at first, and then it ended up becoming the Malik Monk deal with the first-round pick that was protected down the line. None of that ended up coming to fruition, obviously, now. But the Kings remain interested in Jonathan Kuminga. They should be, honestly. They just need a total overhaul. Injection of youth into their team would do wonders for them. But this time, the trade interest has a little bit of a caveat. Spears saying this. The Kings threw Malik Monk at it in a first-round pick originally when they tried to come up with one of these proposals. But I don't think that first will be available anymore. But now, if Kuminga's at a number like $24 million, he's at $22.5 right now, where perhaps they could get a better player, or will probably have to include a bigger name player than before because of that number, and that will help the Warriors out. All right, let's talk about the first part of that. Let's unpack the first part of that quote first, because he's probably, if his reporting, if his inside info is correct, then this front office really, really fumbled away a first-round pick from one of the Western Conference's bottom feeders. And I know it wasn't reported to be like a 2030 first-round pick that was protected or something like that. I think the Sacramento Kings are going to be bad forever. So I don't think a first-round pick at any point in time is ever something to shake your head at when you're talking about the Sacramento Kings. So they're not going to get a first-round pick, it seems, at this point. But like Spears said, Kuminga just costs more at this point. So you're going to have to include more salary to make a trade with Golden State. What could that trade look like now at this point? FanSided had an idea. Malik Monk would be coming back to Golden State in this deal. But Golden State would get some picks back as well. You get a couple of second-round picks, 3 to be exact, for taking on that big-time contract. Malik Monk still has 2 years of $41 million left after this season left on his deal. But they would get Keon Ellis, who I think is a really, really good player, man. He can handle the rock, he can defend, he can shoot it, he can drive, and finish at the rim. I like Keon Ellis a lot. He's a young player, and he would just be another ball mover and a guy who I could trust to put the ball on the deck, score, like dribble and score. There's just not enough players that can do that on Golden State's roster right now. They would be sending away Jonathan Kuminga and Trayce Jackson-Davis. Now, I know some Warriors fans would look at this trade and be like, wow, they're really losing some of the only size on their roster, not only with Trayce Jackson-Davis, but also with Kuminga as well, and they're getting back guards, which they have a logjam with at this point. I just think these are better fits on the Warriors roster than what Jonathan Kuminga and TJD provide at this point. So I'll ask you guys this question. Would you make this trade? A for accept or D for decline? Very simple question. Would you accept Malik Monk, Keon Ellis, and 3 second-round picks for Jonathan Kuminga and Trayce Jackson-Davis? Let me know in the comments. I would think about it. I probably, if you push came to shove and that was the only deal out there, I would press accept. But I just think there's a little bit better out there. And we're hearing names at the start of this trade deadline buzz cycle, because we still got like 2 months away from the actual deadline. But there are some names cropping up in trade circles right now that I think Golden State could go out there and target in a Kuminga deal. Let's start with this one. Not originally my idea. Sports Illustrated had this one, and I like it better than the Kings idea that the FanSided network just threw out there. Herb Jones and a Warriors reunion with Kevon Looney. down low. That would be fun. And honestly, losing Kevon Looney looks pretty bad from Golden State's standpoint right now. Jonathan Kuminga, GP2, and a lottery-protected 2026 first-round pick. Now, the drawback with a guy like Herb Jones is that he doesn't really provide much in the dribble and score department. What he does provide is, I don't know, top 5 defense on the wing and guarding 3s and 4s in all of basketball. I mean, this guy can guard 1 through 5. He's completely switchable. He can hit the corner 3. He's shooting at a better clip than he has in his career so far, but it is on low volume. He's not really an offensive threat, but I'll tell you right now, he's going to make this Warriors defense the best in the NBA, maybe second to the OKC Thunder. I would do this trade in a heartbeat. One I would probably go a step further with and say, get this to my front doorstep right now, is this trade with the LA Clippers. Now, I made this one up. I was getting in the weeds. I was getting the fanspo, doing all that jazz, and I ended up coming up with this because Ivica Zubac is a name in trade talks right now. Teams are calling the LA Clippers on Zubac, according to a couple NBA insiders out there. However, the Clippers are setting a steep asking price, with them having no draft capital really in the near future here. OKC has their pick this year. I mean, other teams got their picks in the future. They're looking for draft assets. So they're not only going to get you could argue, ascending 23-year-old player in Jonathan Kuminga and 2 first-round picks from the Golden State Warriors. You might not like this trade, but Golden State gets one of the top 10 centers in the league for a guy who is just withering away, getting DMPs right now. And the goal is to go all in with Steph, Jimmy, and Draymond at this point. This trade right here, yeah, that's going all in. This one, though, I found this and then, ended up moving things around a little bit, making things work. This next trade, it's my favorite. It kills all the birds with one stone, or with a couple of stones, I guess. 2 players getting switched on each team here. The Warriors end up getting Nick Claxton, who is an absolute dog. $25 million a year center, young player as well. He's about 25, 26 years old. You get Devin Carter, so the Kings get him off their books. They get their guy, Jonathan Kuminga, and a little reunion with Buddy Hield. And then the Nets get involved as well. They get, for giving away Nick Claxton, they're going to have to get some value back. It's like the best player on their team, most valuable player on their roster. They get a protected first-round pick from Sacramento. They get Malik Monk, and they get Dario Saric. And look, Nick Claxton isn't going to be a part of the Brooklyn Nets title contention plan, really, anytime soon. So do him a good service, get him to a team that can contend in the Western Conference, and you get yourself a draft pick from Sacramento as well, with them getting their guy in Kuminga. I like that trade a lot. What do you guys think? Comment which trade you prefer. Is it the one with Zubac and a couple of first-round picks going away from Golden State? Is it the Kuminga to the Kings one that we saw originally with Keon Ellis in the offer and Malik Monk coming to Golden State? Or is it that 3-team deal that we discussed? Because I thought that one was awesome. Do you like Herb Jones as well? Let me know what your thoughts are down in the comment section. And make sure you are subscribed to the channel, as that will do it for today's show. YouTube.com/WarriorsTV. When we hear anything new about the Jonathan Kuminga saga, you know we're going to bring you guys a video. So we'll see you guys all then. And as always, let's go Dubs.